Hello and welcome back to the Making It podcast. We are here for episode 59. Good to be back again for another weekly chat about, I think, everything that's happened in the week. Yeah, Dan's waving. So for those that can't see, if you're listening on Spotify, Dan just keeps waving. So I'll introduce him. He's getting restless. Dan, welcome back to the podcast, mate. It's good to be speaking to you. And we were just having a chat in the pre-chat about how long it's been since we last saw each other, and it's almost time, bro. It's almost time to get back. Shadrach.
Yeah, bro, it's absolutely flew by, and it just becomes like a normal. You're laughing like kid. It just becomes like a normal thing. Like I've not seen you for 9 months, but it's just weird how that becomes so natural. But no, I've been good, bro. It's been a good week. I started it off with going to a fashion show, which was quite interesting. Lucas and Will have been on the podcast. We're doing it, and it was a good laugh. And then we got Dan back on the pod, so that was cool. So if you want to go listen to that, go listen to that. That's out now. Part two of making it as an entrepreneur. He comes out and speaks a lot about his new realizations about himself and how he was always thinking about the future. I mean, he's trying to be more present in his life. And no game last week, but I went to Burnley on Saturday for day two of the Hive, and that was really good. Great experience. Didn't get to do much to do with sports psychology aside from watching the football game, which I can obviously do a lot of psychology with, but got to see like behind the scenes of like the marketing. We got to talk about like the group projects on like sponsorship. We got a talk with the head of strategy. I just got to all see each other again. And Mansfield won 2-1. So it was an FA Cup upset against Burnley, but it was a great experience and I had a great time. And then so me and Scarlett did our Valentine's on Sunday instead of Saturday. And we had a lovely day together. Days like that I'll always cherish. So it's been good. I'm feeling good, feeling excited, feeling philosophical. But brother, how have you been, man? I know you've been on a bit of a mad one lately, bro, with the nights out. But it's good to see. To be honest, it's good to see.
Just having fun, bro. Shout out to your YouTube video, bro, the philosophical spaghetti, because that was a good episode. And I didn't realize that you put pepper in your spaghetti then. Um,
Yeah, I've
I,
always
I
done it.
I've never, I don't know why I've just never put pepper in my pasta. So I just thought I'd mention that. That's the takeaway from the video, obviously. Um, but no, it's been a bad one. We had a bit of a leaving do on Thursday, and then friends kind of collared me on Friday and were like, "Oh, come out for a few," and it obviously ended up not just being a few. Then Saturday, we always go out on a Saturday, but I finished work at like, I don't know, just before 1. I don't know. It was busy until like midnight, and I'm thinking, fuck, okay, I'm not getting out of it like anytime soon. Like I'm gonna miss this night out, and I'm like, no chance. I was on absolute speed, mate, getting this bar cleaned down. Um, and then obviously Sunday we went to a festival. So all ended up Monday morning. Had a nice day off. Actually got a fair bit done. The reason that I've been moving my camera around is because there's a heap of clothes on my bed that I'm hiding from you currently, that I've still not put away. But I've been washing all my clothes, doing a fair bit on my laptop, working on a few little things, working on coming back to coaching, in the midst of finishing up my blog. So that should be ready by tonight. Um, so yeah, got a lot done. I always feel most productive sort of after a big weekend because I'm like, right, you need to sort your stuff out. Um, but yeah, I think it's just in general been a very good week. Obviously, I think that the nights out, they always supplement your time with friends because it's typically the time you see most of your friends. It's when you're on nights out, or you don't see them at work. Um, so it's just good to spend time with people that I have a lot of time for, a lot of love for, um, and you make some good memories, some weird, strange, funny things happen, and just things that you'll always remember, bro. We've got those from Newcastle, we've got them from Nottingham. In fact, I was talking actually today with someone about the night where you stayed on the tram, um,
Oh my
and
days,
did a
yeah.
lap. And did a lap. You remember that one?
Yeah, that was bad, man. That was bad. I just fell asleep on the tram after you left me in Beeston, because obviously that's where you lived. And then I just fell asleep, went all the way to the end circuit, then went all the way back to town, woke up and I had 1% on my phone. It was 7 o'clock in the morning. and I quickly had to book an Uber. I managed to get home, went to bed, and that same day, my grandma and granddad were coming to visit, and they came at like 11:30, and I heard them walk in, and I was like, I've got to get up, I've got to get up, and I went and saw them. Mum had like made like all these nice potatoes and salad, and it was the best like hangover cure. Yeah, that was good, man. We had some good nights out then. Nights out, they're an interesting one because, I was watching like Italian Batch and like Chris MD and Arthur Hill and the other Arthur, I don't know his second name. And you see a lot of content on YouTube these days. It's to do with quite a few of those old school YouTubers now are like going on like trips away to Europe and different cities around the UK, and they're drinking quite a few beers, and like that's the content now, like going to the drunkest city in Europe and going on a night out there. And I was thinking to myself, it's a bit of a weird thing now because like, putting yourself online and drinking is an interesting thing, and a lot of people look up to these people, and a lot of people see these people, and they've built these amazing careers, and now they're almost like settling down and letting loose a bit, and they're showing that side to them. And I just thought it's interesting how they're sharing that because I think in that sort of position, it could be a very easy thing to try and hide that side of your life. Like, we've got to keep that image up of like, we are these famous YouTubers, we've made a big living. But it's quite good to see that sort of stuff because that is what people do. And, drinking's a very interesting thing. I think a lot of people can feel guilty for it. A lot of people don't do it, which is cool. But for you, like, what do nights out and like drinking mean for you? And how are they like more than just the night out? They're actually a lot more of a memory because we talk a lot about our nights out together.
Well, I don't want to go philosophical about a night out at a club because there's not a lot of philosophical about it. We all like a beer. We all want to spend time with our mates, and whatever else happens and stays there. But like you kind of go in with the intention of like, I'm going to have a good time with my friends, and or at least I do. And I think that it's kind of the good thing about nights out is that you are giving yourself an opportunity to create memories. You're actively using your free time to go and spend it with people that you love a lot, to listen to music that maybe you like a lot, and to just let your hair down a little bit. Like I always, and I wrote about it in my blog. I always used to kind of beat myself up a little bit for going on nights out at the weekend because I'm like, like, should I be doing this? Like, should I? I'm like, you know what? I work hard. Like, I work hard. I don't really get too many opportunities to see my friends throughout the week because schedules are usually opposite because I work a lot of night shifts and most people work days. And it's just like, why shouldn't I go out? I've got an opportunity. It's my day to go out. I'm going to go and do it. And obviously, the drinking part, you could do it all without drinking, right? But you have to maintain a level. And I know that you do want something that kind of just eases you and relaxes you a little bit because going into a club environment is so daunting. I mean, I turned up to the club completely sober and I was like, what is this? I hate this. And then I had like 2 or 3 beers and I just got them down and I'm like, right, now I'm at a level where this is fun. You know what I mean? Because it shouldn't be about the beers relaxing you and making it a fun experience, but it's like sometimes you just need something to just kind of make you realize that it's not as weird. The whole situation, like, it's not as awkward, it's not as strange, it's just at everyone else's level, so you've got to bring yourself down a little bit. But I would say that some of my favorite memories, Dan, with you have been on those spontaneous nights out, probably after work, or like, bro, when we go to work on a Thursday and we'd be begging that we finish at like 9 o'clock or half 9. You know what I mean? And we'd be saying to Sam, like, what time do you reckon we're going to finish? Do you know what I mean? And we're like trying to make sure that everyone's like
Those rum
hurrying up.
punches.
Yeah, and we'd have a rum punch. But I think at one point it was like a cider and a whiskey was like
It
the
was.
go-to.
You got me on the blooming whiskey, yeah.
Yeah, I got you on the whiskeys, and that was like, I don't even know why I used to do that because now it's just like, give me a beer. What are you talking about? A whiskey and a cider. But it's important that, like, and one thing I have recognized from this week and I've spoken to friends about is like, it's really important that our friendship dynamic doesn't just exist on the weekend. for
Yeah,
me.
I completely
Like, I
agree.
don't
Yeah.
mind going on the nights out every week. That's fine for me. As long as I can afford it, I'll go because it's fun. But it's like I want to do cooking nights in the week. I want to go have coffee in the mornings. I want to go and grab lunch. Like these kind of things, I really, really enjoy them, and I just don't think they should be limited to from Friday to Sunday. So, Dan, I want to ask you, where do people go wrong in friendships sometimes? Because I actually do think that we have categories of which we put friendships in subconsciously, where it's like, this is my friend for nights out. This is my friend for football, or you know what I mean? And then there's always one person that like covers them all. That's your good friends. But I think we actually attach people too much to things and actions that we enjoy, as opposed to, hey, I like spending time with you. The situation or the circumstance doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, I think friends are an interesting one because, as you described, you've got friends who you play football with, you've got friends who you go to uni with, you've got your course mates, you've got your friends who you know from home, you've got multiple different friends from different environments. And I think the real friends are the ones where, like you say, it doesn't matter on the environment, it's just the person you're around. And I think the best of friends are the ones that bring more of yourself out to the ones where you don't have to think when you say, you feel at ease when you're around them, you just feel naturally yourself. They're the real people in your life. And you always think to yourself, oh, it feels like I just seen you yesterday with the good friends, because it does feel like that, because even you could go so much time without seeing each other and you'll see each other again and it's like you've not like it's not been that long. Um and I think that they're the best of mates. And I think it is interesting because you can label certain people to certain areas of your life, because but that's how it is. You do have friends because of different things, because of a sport or a uni module or course you're on. Um, but I think real friendships are the ones where, despite all of that, no matter what the scenario, you always feel loved and you always feel connected. Now, where people go wrong with friendships, I think a lot of people take friendships for granted. I think a lot of people, like we've spoke about before, those friendships would do feel amazing. You don't have to see them all the time, and that you're still really close. You can take that for granted because you feel like you're not going to lose it.
Mm.
And I think it's very important to be conscious of those friends. And can you see them more? Can you spend more time with them? Can you look out for them more? Reach out to them. And I think, yeah, I think people can label certain areas of their life to friends, like, oh, I'm just friends with this person when I do this, and it's like, if you took away that one thing, and I often think, like you say, with the nights out on the weekends, it tends to be drugs and alcohol and stuff like this that people can become connected over, because you're actually connecting over the thing, the going out and getting hammered, as opposed to your actual friendship. And I noticed as I was getting older and I stopped going on as much night outs, and you stop doing some of the bad habits in your life, certain friends are no longer as close to you anymore. And I was actually speaking to a good friend this week about this, and he noticed how, like, he could only do certain things with certain friends, and it's like he actually felt. Imagine if I asked that person to go for a coffee, I actually don't know how they'd respond because you're so
Yeah,
used to just
well,
seeing them in the pub setting or the night
mm.
out setting or settings unrelated to productiveness, etc., or coffees. Like I do know what you mean, and I think you've got to be noticeable about the friends who are like that, because if those things weren't there, would you really be friends with them?
I was going to say, bro, people have taken the mick out of me for going for coffee with my friends. Like, and I'm like, but how? And I'm like, let's go for a beer or
It's the
something.
best thing, man.
But I'm like, but you don't. The thing is, for me, is going for a coffee isn't literally me and you sitting down having a coffee. It can be you having a cup of tea, it could be a hot chocolate. Like some people are like, oh, I don't like coffee. That's not what I'm asking you. I'm asking you give me 45 to an hour of your time and let's have a chat. You know what I mean? That's what I'm asking you. I'm asking you on a Tuesday morning when we're both off or we're not working for whatever reason. I'm asking you because, yeah, I want to speak to you. I want to make something of my time. And I was actually, I had a really good conversation with one of my good friends here this week, quite early in the morning. And don't get me wrong, I kept falling in and out of sleep, but just sitting there. But it was really nice to have like a deep conversation with someone. And it was after a few beers, but I still don't fully know my friends, you know, and we have spent a lot of time on nights out. So I've only been able to see their kind of social character. But I've seen like a very raw, sometimes emotional side to some of my friends this weekend, and then weekends before. And I'm like, you're all a lot deeper than what you let out. And I think it's really important that as people, we do actually show our more deep emotional side, because actually it leads to a bit of a disconnect between us and our friends on certain subjects. If I'm upset or struggling and all you know me for is being happy on a weekend, how can you help me? How can you help me? Because you don't know what's going on in my life. And I'm not saying before a night out, right, let's all get in a circle, pass the bottle, or spin the bottle, and fucking the person has to be like, right, my granddad's dying, my dog's sick, like really morbid, horrible things. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, during the week, speak to your mates. And you can still have a beer, don't get me wrong, but speak to your mates. Have a moment with them. The thing is that I like is, Dan, I've probably been having a coffee every morning. That's my thing. Like, and it's not because I need the energy. It's just because the moment represents something. For me right now, a coffee on my own represents time when I go and read and have some breakfast. And having coffee with someone is like a moment where it's like, okay, lay down all your cards for me. You'll literally be talking about something so random. Maybe it's gossip from work. Maybe it's someone that's been hassling you. Maybe it's relationships. Maybe it's anything, bro. Like one of my favorite coffees I've had with you was in that big old hill
Yeah,
in
that in the Peak District. Yeah.
Peak District. Yes, but bro, remember how good of a chat we had there? You remember that? And you know the craziest part about it is it's like that drive home. You're like, this is one of the last times I'm going to see you for a year.
Mm.
Like, imagine every single coffee you had with someone had some remarkable scenario occurring after it. How much would you treasure that moment? Just try and imagine like it is your last coffee with someone and go and enjoy it. I think,
Yeah. My grandma and brother always take the mick out of me because at one time I said like it's a good coffee, but I meant it because it was a good chat.
mm,
And it is a funny one because I'll come away from some coffees and there's so much more to it. That conversation with someone you admire, that conversation with a best mate, that conversation with your partner, like it's the time you spend with them. And you said something really interesting about um, your friends just seeing the happy you on a weekend, and not seeing the deeper side to you. And I saw something about relationships this weekend about how, what your relationship is tested on the times when things go wrong. When one of you makes a mistake, when one of you says something wrong, when one of you upsets the other, and it's how you come back from that. It's not tested on those lovely moments where you go for food and everything's great and happy and smiley. And I think that's really important to understand that we have to understand with deep connections, you've got to connect over those darker moments. And when things go wrong, how is your friendship tested? How is your relationship tested? And that brings me to something I wanted to speak about this week with to do with myself. I can find with sometimes the close people around me, because I care so much, I can become quite critical. I've always been like that with my younger brother. I was always like, oh, because my brother's he never went out as much as I did, like going out on bikes and stuff like that. He still did, but is in his own way. And I was always quite pushy, like, oh, how come you're not going out with your friends? How come you're not doing this and that? I almost wanted him to do the things I was doing, and I became quite critical of him. And even now, I can be quite critical of my brother. It's something my mum always picks me up on. I can be a bit critical with Scarlett about certain things, and we had a little clash last week about that. And I think it's an interesting one for me because you need to find a balance between really caring for someone, um, and then because you care so much, you have standards for them, right? Like as a best mate for you, bro, I've got standards for you because I hold you high and I expect good things from you, bro, because I know the potential you have. But you're not gonna be doing that all the time. You're gonna have moments where you slip. You're gonna have moments where you're not perfect, the same way I will, the same way everyone will. And I think it's important with these people we cherish and we care about to not then become overcritical, because realistically, is that really going to push someone in a good way? Probably not. And I just wanted to speak to you about, those people, like one day when you're growing up and you're raising kids, or like your parents, or all those people that are that close to you, you care so much. How do you find that balance between giving them that unconditional love, but also having those standards?
Well, it's not about the intention. It's not about, sorry, the action of you caring for someone. It's about the intention behind it. What do you want from someone when you help them? Do you want something back, or do you want? And I know you don't want something back, Dan, but in a way, you kind of do get something back, because when you see someone doing well that you love, you feel like you've had an impact on them. Okay, maybe you get recognition or whatever, but in reality, the best thing that you see is them doing well. You know deep down you've had an impact on that, and makes you feel proud of yourself, but also proud of them. And bro, I echo your sentiment. I think that, like, I feel an enormous sort of responsibility, actually, to support my friends, um, and most importantly, support people that I'm really close to, and demand a bit more from them. And I would say, like, my little brother's growing up. He's going to be 15 this year, and I demand highly from him. Like, if he comes and plays a football match with me, I'm not going to treat him like a 14-year-old, because why would I? I'll support him, but in that moment, you choose to play with the adults. You become an adult, and I think that it's the same for your friends. Like, if they want to, you know, jump into a professional space, then I expect you to be a professional. Just because you're my mate, it's just like, it doesn't make any difference. If you don't hold your friends to high standards, then do you really want what's best for them? You know, and by holding to high standards, that doesn't mean holding them accountable to the point where every little move they make is criticized or is under microscope by you. It's more just, like, if you see someone going a little bit down the wrong road, hanging around with people you don't think are that great for them, pull them up. Be like, hey, what's going on? Like, I thought you were going to do this week, or I thought you were going to do this, or is that person really that great? I mean, we've had this conversation, bro, about people that I we don't think are particularly great for people. And there's definitely people in my life, and it gives me no great joy, by the way, when I'm right about someone having bad friends, because it's the worst thing in the world when someone goes down the wrong path because they've wasted time with people. Um, but I do also think that it's important how we approach these situations, and telling someone they're making a mistake is often the wrong thing to do. I've been there, because I've been there with various situations. Like, there's been times where I've been living with Deck, and I'm like, Deck, you're not really getting enough sleep, bro. Like, you should try and do this. And it's just like, sometimes you don't need someone to lecture you. And I love Deck, and I know that I think at times I can be annoying to live with, because I do kind of nag a little bit for things. But it's out of love. Do you know what I mean? It's out of love. Like, I don't want to see my mates sad or tired or complaining. Like, I don't. But I also don't want to see you smiling at me every morning and being dead weird and like, everything's great. I love life. Like, I don't want that. Like, I like just a bit of a balance. And I think that you should, if you really, really care about your mates, hold them to the standard that they can perform to. And if you're someone that has a really good vision and a belief in your friends, you'll know that's quite a high standard.
Yeah, I think what you said about how you approach it is really important. I think with anything you can, it's how you say it, because two people could have the same intention and want to say the same thing, but one may say it in a way which really upsets someone, the other says it in a way which actually enlightens someone. So how you say something is really important, and how you go about it, because when you really love someone, you have that good intention there, but that good intention can become to a point where you overanalyze, you're overcritical, and the way you go about it isn't actually in a nice way, even if it's coming from a good place. And I also think people who you really love and feel really loved by you, some people just need you there. Like, some people just need you there. They need you to be the person who isn't judging them. They need you to be the person that gives them that unconditional love. Like, hey, maybe you shouldn't have done that, but I'll always still have you. Like you, bro. If I've done something silly, like, you'll always say, "I love you, man," but I'll be honest, bro. Like, you got to change that, and like, I'll always take that on board, bro. The same way if you were to do something, I'll be like, I'll pick you up on it, and that's what a good friend should do. It's just, but we go about it in the right way. Like, you'll say, "Oh, I love you, man," but this, like, that makes you think, okay, I've got the love there, but I need to be better. And I think it's how you approach it. I think that's really important because I always found like it's a really good example with my brother. Like I always found if I ever told him to do something like or I did this, like why don't you do it? Like it would happen. But if he worked it out for himself and he realized what he liked and he lived his own life, it's like it was so much better for him. And it links to the episode facilitating action. It's not telling people to do the thing, it's giving them a platform and being an ear for them, which enables them to do that. And I thought about the phrase today, escaping reality.
Mm.
And I was thinking a bit on the bus to coaching today about like traveling and stuff like this. And traveling's great. Like, don't get me wrong. I think if you travel with the right intention, like you have, I think traveling is an amazing thing. But just in life in general, like as people use the phrase escaping reality, like they want to get away from reality. Some people say they want to go travel. Some people want to say they want to go drink. Some people want to just escape reality for a bit and go somewhere else. I found that phrase quite interesting. I'm not saying everybody uses that phrase, but it's a phrase we've all heard, right? And why? What if you don't want to escape that reality? What if the reality itself is what excites you? And I think when we talk about building a life for you and what you want to do in life, it's like, how can you make your reality something you want to come back to? So when you're on holiday, it's like, I can't wait to be home and get back into things. And it's just an interesting one. I just thought about that today. And something else I've been thinking about a lot is being present, which is something I mentioned so many times. And I almost didn't want to bring it up again because I've said it so many times. But what's in front of you right now and how can you take that in? Just a couple of things I thought about this week and I just wanted to mention.
Yeah, but and I think the escaping reality one's an interesting one because I think people will mention it, but that's my alarm for the morning. Oh God, I'm gonna have to make sure that my alarms aren't going to go off now. I never thought I'd say in a podcast that my morning alarms would be going off, but here we are. I beat my alarm. How about that? But no, the escaping reality thing is interesting. I don't, I know for a fact I didn't travel to escape reality, but I traveled to open my eyes. Um, and I will be honest, I think travel has brought me a level of confusion now because there is so many things that I love already. Now I've discovered like way more. And for someone that has a mind like mine, having more things to love is not what I need. Like I need less. Like
I think it's
I
gonna
need
be
to
interesting when
dislike
you come
more.
back home.
Yeah, I need to dislike more things. Because having this much stuff to enjoy doing.
That's a good
uh,
thing though, man. You don't need to dislike more things.
no,
I know you're
it's
joking, but it's good
yeah,
to enjoy a lot of stuff.
I'm only playing, but it's just like when I have this many distractions, I'm like, wow, how am I meant to get anything done? You know?
Multiple
Um,
notepads.
oh, I've got so many, but then I've used this one, and this is just like in everything. Anything I think about, I've got poems in here, I've got like notes to myself, I've got meal plans, I've got stock investment tips, I've got everything in there. I write everything in it. And it's kind of like whenever I read a book now, I actually bring my notepad with me and I write down something. Like it could be anything. It could be obviously the book I'm reading now is the Bourdain one, The Kitchen Confidential. It could be something ridiculous about him doing heroin and like just having this realization. And I'm like, but what can you take away from that? Don't take everything at face value because something that he says in the book can be completely applicable to life. Like I would say the underlying theme for a lot of the things he's saying is he's worked with some ridiculously stupid people. He's been a stupid person, but the point is he's had fun, he's learned from it, and it's made him who he is. So he's recognizing the journey that he's on. And there's a video going around, I don't know if you've seen it, but it's actually him just walking down the street in whatever city, somewhere in
Yeah, I've
Asia,
seen it.
probably.
Looks like New
Yeah.
York. Oh.
It looks like, yeah, or yeah, New York or whatever. And it's just him bumping shoulders with people. Like all you can hear is just this loud chatter, and it's just you. And I was thinking, when did I last feel like that? And I'm like, the first night that I went out in Gold Coast and I was completely on my own. The day before Declan came. The first nights that me and Declan went to Sydney. The nights even now where I'm like walking home and I'm like, wow, this is it. There's some nights I'll take myself out for food. Could just be somewhere like McDonald's, and I'm like, whoa, I'm just here alone. Like, and I was thinking about how much I've changed over the year from a maturity perspective and recognizing things. And I'm like, it's crazy. I think that the growth that I've had this year is absolutely insane. And it's taken me a lot of time to recognize that actually, even in the months where I, like we were saying in the pre-chat, didn't go out, didn't really have friends, was struggling with my mental health, even in those months, I was like, I actually did a lot. Like I grew a lot because I was like, I didn't go on a night out for months. That's a big one. You got the discipline to not go out at all. Be, kind of be a bit sensible. I had responsibilities with football, and it only occurs to you that you've done a lot and that you've grown when you actually give yourself an opportunity to just step back and be like, let's just have a look back over the year. Jesus Christ. I've got 2.5 months left here and I am going to come back for sure. Probably fairly soon. But it's like, what an amazing, kind of that little video of him just walking through the city. That threw me back because I was like, this traveling thing has changed me. And Dan, I absolutely implore you to go traveling wherever it is. If you go and do a few weeks in Asia, whether you go and do South America, whether you're going to go and do Australia, wherever you want to go, bro, you have to do it. And I will absolutely nag my brother, my friends, everyone close to me to go and do the same thing because it is amazing. And I'm glad that I put it on deck and made him feel awkward and got him to come out here because that's a life-changing experience, man.
Yeah, bro. Travel does a lot for people, man. I'm very fortunate that growing up, my family have took me to quite a few good places, and I think, of course, I want to explore different places. Me and Scarlett are hopefully lining up to do something in not this summer, but next summer, something like traveling together somewhere for a couple of weeks or something. So yeah, I think interrailing really excites me. So yeah, travel's a great thing, man. I always like to try and get away to different places, and I think, if you think back to a lot of the things, bro, you've been through, and just going through Aussie, man, you're a different person, bro. I remember you not a different person, but the same person, but with new layers. And I think I remember you calling me when you went out to a bar by yourself when you were at the Gold Coast, and it was just because you needed someone to kind of talk to say because you felt quite alone. And I think to be where you are right now, you 4 nights out, you got all these friends now. It's just be proud of yourself, brother, man. And to anyone listening right now who is reflecting a little bit right now, just thinking about where they've come from, where they've come in the last year, be proud of yourselves too, because growth is a great thing, and we have to acknowledge our own growth to give us gratitude and boost us on for the future, man.
And there's no set measure for growth as well, bro. Sometimes growing can just literally be having your room cleaner by even a little bit every single day. That's growth, man. You've got to take it as it comes and recognize the great things you're doing because you are a great person and we are proud of you. I'd be a little bit more proud of you, though, if you emailed us, told us your thoughts, followed us on social media, making it poddy, email makingitpoddy@gmail.com. Because we always appreciate people getting in touch. It doesn't happen that often, but it would be nice to hear from more of you, speak to more of you, and hopefully we'll be able to get some of you on the podcast as well. Don't forget to go and watch the latest Making It Moments with Dan and Dan, because that is a great podcast going on there. I've actually been watching a lot of your open-minded stuff as well, Dan, on is it DGF? Are you putting it Daniel Ferguson?
It's not
SP?
DJ3 anymore, Dan Ferguson.
And I just just out of habit went to DJF3 and was waiting for like crossbar videos. But yeah, Daniel Ferguson SP. Make sure you're going and follow him on Instagram and YouTube. And if you can as well, do me a favor, read my blog, unbrokensydney.blogspot.com. Be there, be square. See you next Tuesday, 10 in the morning. That was episode 15.
Thanks for listening.